Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Joel.
My name is Gavin.
And this is A Stable Life. I hope you guys are excited. This is going to be an exciting video. We are going to be giving you an in-depth look at all 25 horses and 2 miniature donkeys that are here at the stable. What do you think we should start with? The western wing or the northern wing? Or should we start with the donkeys?
I think you should start with Sriracha.
Western wing it is. Let's head to Sriracha. Kicking things off at the far end of the western wing, right where the main entrance to the horse stable is, we have Sriracha. To keep things simple, some of the horses we know what month they were born and others we don't. We only know the year. So for all of them, we are going to be addressing them as though they were all born January 1st of whatever year we're referring to as for their ages. Some of their owners know the months they were born, but I don't currently have that information. Sriracha is a beautiful horse that is here at our stable, known for his loving temperament and spicy attitude, thus the name Sriracha. Sriracha is a thoroughbred, and you can identify him as a thoroughbred by looking at those long, skinny legs and the fact that he's wearing a blanket. 2 telltale signs you're dealing with a thoroughbred. And Sriracha was born back in 2014, meaning that he is 10 years old. Cool fact for you about Sriracha, his show name is Dory's Giant Kneel, or Dory for short. A lot of horses have a barn name and a show name, and they use those interchangeably depending on whether they're in the barn or whether they're at a show. It's actually more common than you'd think. And taking a look at Dory's Giant Kneel, we can see going all the way back, he was from Secretariat, which is actually pretty cool among a bunch of other racers. Moving on to our next horse across the aisle, we have Suede, whose show name is Midnight Redemption. Cue thunder noises. You can already tell that Suede is a darker horse. That is because Suede is a Dutch warm blood, meaning that you usually will see him pulling Amish carts, which is pretty nice. In fact, that's where he came from originally, was the Amish. He was born back in 2010, making Suede 14 years old. Suede is currently owned by an individual who loves show jumping, and Suede loves jumping as well. And that is something that Suede and his owner enjoy doing respectively. Suede is known for a few things at the stable, but the biggest thing is that he is top dog. In the pasture, he's number 1. There are a bunch of horses that are all below him, none above him. So this usually means that Suede is either turned out last or first. Rarely is he turned out in the middle because of the fact that if anyone's drinking at the water bowl, they're getting kicked out, he's getting a drink first. But he is very loving and respectful towards people. Our next horse is Champ. We can take his fly mask off. Champ does have an eye disease, meaning that he is very susceptible to sunlight. So we have a fly mask on that acts as a pair of sunglasses, keeping Champ's eyes protected from those powerful rays that the sun has. You can already tell Champ looks way different than a lot of horses. Interestingly enough, Champ is not a paint, but a spotted saddle horse. And Champ was born back in 2004, making him 20 years old. Champ is an absolute loving horse. He is known for his very calm and loving demeanor. He is a little bit on the slower side, but he has a major respect for people. And because of this, he's also pretty low on the herd, meaning that he doesn't really pick a fight with anybody, and he's fine with someone being above him on the pecking order. That does mean that Champ doesn't get picked on too much because he never really picks a fight. Our next horse is Archer. Archer is a grade quarter horse. Now, what that means is that he's basically a mutt. Yeah, he's got a lot of different things inside him. And I can tell you from experience with Archer, that is definitely true. Archer was born back in 2007, making Archer 17 years old. Archer is known for one thing, and that is flying out of this stall door every single time you open it. But when you're in here dealing with him, he is very respectful and nice. His owner mostly uses him for trail rides, and back in the day, she also did a little bit of gymkhana with him, but mostly just enjoys trail rides. You're definitely a lovey, aren't you, Archer? One thing to keep in mind with Archer is he will not come to you once you're out in the pastures. Once he's out in the pastures, that's his time off. There's nothing that can change that from happening. Right, Gavin?
Yeah.
Our next horse on the list is George. George is a paint. You can tell by his distinct markings. George was born back in 2009, making him 15 years old. And one very distinctive and beautiful thing about George is that gorgeous blue eye that he has. Absolutely gorgeous. Another thing that George does is cribs, which means that what he will do is anything that has a corner that is wood, he will bite and grab, and then he will eat the wood while siphoning in air. That air will cause pain in his intestine, which he will attempt to solve by rolling. And rolling in the pastures, as much as he would do when he had stomach pains, would cause him to potentially kill himself from twisting his intestines. It is called colicking. There are a number of things that can cause it, one of them being cribbing. This collar prevents that from happening. It does not hurt him. As you can see, there are no rub marks anywhere on him, and when his owner is down here and spending time with George, she does take it off and watches him. The moment he starts cribbing, she kind of just curtails it, but when there's nobody around and he's just out being a horse, he wears the cribbing collar. George is a very nice horse, very respectful towards people, and honestly just an all-around good guy. Our next horse is Declan, one of our most unique horses here. And I mean that literally. Declan is a grade quarter horse, making him a mutt as well. And he's definitely got just a little bit of crazy in him. Declan was born back in 2002, making him 22 years old. Declan is known for needing the cable put up because if we were to put the door across, he would just immediately start banging on the door. He is also known for holding his front left leg up every single time he wants to get taken out. He hates staying in the stall and absolutely loves being out in the pastures. So the smallest amount of time needed to keep Declan in his stall, the better. He's an old guy, but he's definitely still kicking. Hey, Declan. The next horse on our list is Gavin, not the human. Gavin is a thoroughbred. You can tell by those long, skinny legs and the fact that he's wearing a blanket. I joke about it, but I'm serious. If you guys are interested in getting a horse, thoroughbreds are a lot of work and a lot of maintenance. So just remember that if you end up picking up a thoroughbred. He was also born back in 2002, meaning just like Declan, he is 22 years old. Gavin actually did participate a little bit and has a racing career, was retired, and has pretty much been living out the rest of his days here at Sunny Knoll Stables. Our next horse is Danny. Interesting fact for you guys, Gavin and Danny are owned by the same owner. Even though they are not brothers, they are often together. Danny is a quarter horse, has participated in various gymkhana events, and is known for how good he is at barrel racing. Right, Danny? Danny was born back in 2007, making him 17 years old. Our next horse is Jack, and that is J-A-C. No K. He is also one of the smallest horses here, just big enough to be classified as a horse and not a pony. Jack, curiously enough, is also a quarter horse. Jack was born back in 2003, making him 21 years old. And because Jack is a quarter horse, we really don't have a lot of things we need to do with him. He's just an all-around, easy to maintain horse. A cool, distinct fact for Jack is that every single time we let him out, he bolts out the door, and Leia loves chasing him. Don't know why, it's just a thing that they do. The next horse that we're going to be looking at is Poe, who is also a quarter horse. Poe is right up there with Suede. When Suede is not with Poe, he is top dog. When Suede is with Poe, he is number 2. Poe was born back in 2007, making him 17 years old. Poe has mostly been used for show jumping, but being that he's a quarter horse, he also is really good with cows and dealing with anything gymkhana related. One of the things Poe's known for is being very slow unless you absolutely need him to move fast. He's got 2 speeds, doesn't really have anything in between. Our next horse is Tucker. Tucker is the second biggest horse at our facility. He is an absolutely gargantuan Percheron. Tucker was born back in 2010, making Tucker only 14 years old. Tucker and Samson are owned by the same individual. And for a lot of you who have been around since the beginning of the channel, you have known Tucker has had a very unique history. He was originally owned by a different individual who you could actually see. I talked with him on the channel. And Tucker moved up to New York State And then once he was up to New York State, Tucker then got moved back to our facility and is now owned by Samson's owner. So he's been bounced around just a little bit, but he's doing pretty good here at the stable. Wouldn't you say, Tucker? Our next horse is Poncho. Poncho is very close in appearance to Sriracha, but is not close at all in regards to breeding. Want to take a guess what Poncho is? Did you guess quarter horse? No, he's not. Did you guess thoroughbred? No, he's not. Did you guess paint? No? Maybe? Well, if you did, then you're correct, because that's what Poncho is. He is a paint. He was born back in 2004, making him 20 years old. Poncho is known for being very curious. He always will go into any stall that is left open. Loves to wander around and check what you're doing, and if you're out fixing fence, well, he'll come over and see how you're doing. Poncho has a loving owner and enjoys easy days here at the stables. Very loving demeanor. Never really have ever had a problem with Poncho. He's a good guy. Now I'm over here with Bella. Bella, Sarah, and Honey were the first 3 mares that we've had on the property in a very long time. Of course, we now welcome Ava to the fold. Bella is a nice, beautiful horse. She is definitely small in size. That being said, Bella is a Rocky Mountain horse. And Bella was born back in 2007. Seems to be a common theme, doesn't it? Making her 17 years old. Bella and her stepsister, Sarah, are practically inseparable. Bella is a super calm horse and is very nice and loving when it comes to people. Although if you're a gelding, maybe you should keep your distance just a little bit. As for her stepsister, Sarah, she is a Dutch harness horse. You can tell by just how much bigger she is. The bigger hooves and the thicker legs. Sarah was born back in 2005, making her 19 years old. Sarah is very protective of Bella, and she also is the most skittish of our mares. So you have to be a little careful when you're with her. She does threaten you from time to time. She is okay with people, but probably has the least respect for individuals of all of the horses that are here. That being said, I personally have never been injured, hurt, or anything from Sarah, and I don't necessarily think that she would do any of those things to us. A lot of you may remember Sarah because of the giant injury that she had on her leg, and thankfully that has since healed, and she's doing very well. Now we'll make our way on over to the oldest horse at our stable currently, and that is Honey. Honey is a quarter horse, so to be honest, we really don't have much maintenance other than she is missing some teeth, meaning that when it comes to her grain, we have to water it down so that she is able to chew it and digest it better. But as far as we're concerned, that's not a problem at all because she is just known for being just as sweet as her name represents. Honey was born back in 1992, meaning that she's older than me, and she is still going strong at 32 years old. And a little tired, wouldn't you say, Honey? Just a little. But yeah, she's doing well. She still has good vision, good smell, good hearing, even has a strong, thick coat. And she does a great job of keeping on weight. I'm very impressed with how well she's doing. Well, let's go ahead and check out her neighbor, the newest horse to the fold, Ava. Ava is pretty much the closest thing I can tell you to being Honey. Ava is also a quarter horse, and she was born back in 2008, making her 16 years old. She is just as sweet as Honey. We are absolutely loving her and have not had any issues with her whatsoever, and we're really looking forward to getting to know Honey as she enjoys her time here with us at the stable. Wouldn't you say, Ava? Yeah? She's a beauty. The next horse that we're going to be taking a look at is Diego, formerly known as Keith. Diego is also a quarter horse. However, he is not registered, and his demeanor really makes me think that he has some Arab in him. I'm not sure, but just some things tell me that he's not a full-blooded quarter horse. That being said, Diego was born back in 2003, making him surprisingly 21 years old, though he does not act like it at all. Diego is most known for his antics, his nervous energy that he possesses, and his firecracker-like energy. In fact, a few things Diego has done include rearing up so much so that his head has peeked through the boards above so that he can get a look over top of his stall. And Diego also does love people, but because sometimes he is nervous, anxious, and or scared. This does mean that Diego is a horse who you do have to treat carefully and respect the fact that he is an animal and he is big, meaning that if I'm not careful, he could accidentally hurt me. I don't believe Diego would ever do so intentionally, but I need to make sure that I don't put myself in a bad situation. Including, but not limited to, being stuck in his stall. The next guy on our list is my personal horse. Obi is a grade quarter horse, meaning he is a mutt. In fact, one of my favorite things that actually really made me fall in love with him was that he is a super fast horse and he loves to go on trail rides, just like me. So him and I ended up kind of forming an instant connection. Obi was born back in 1998, making him 26 years old, so he's up there with Honey. Because of my size and because of his age, I am no longer able to ride Obi, though he has served me well over the years. So now when I want to go trail riding, I will be riding my mom's horse, Argento, or any of the bigger horses. Love you, buddy. The next horse that we're looking at is Rebel. Rebel, surprisingly, is a quarter horse. Rebel was born back in 2003, making him 21 years old. He is named Rebel, and his attitude and disposition definitely reflect that. He is known for always doing the opposite of what you would like him to do. Unless you have everything clearly set up, even then, he still will do the opposite of what you'd like him to do. Rebel requires a patient person, and if you have a level of patience, then Rebel really is an awesome horse. He's super calm, super loving, super nice, and a bit on the dopey side, but we don't hold that against him, not at all. Ain't that the truth, Rebel? Next on the list is my mom's horse, Argento, known for his absolutely beautiful dapple gray look. Argento is a warm blood and was born back in 2012, making Argento 12 years old. Argento is known for being very mischievous. Similar to Poncho and Danny, if he sees something going on, he's gonna go check it out. He's very curious, tends to get himself in trouble a lot, and as you guys know, doesn't go in his stall all the time when we're letting him in, so I always have to run over and grab him. Argento loves itching his butt regardless of the time of year. We recognize that horses itching their butt usually is a telltale sign they have worms. He is dewormed often, according to our deworming schedule. He still just loves itching his butt. And you can see that the stall reflects that. He's a big horse, but he also is a loving horse. He has never hurt anybody and has a genuine appreciation for people. Our next horse is Skywalker, who is a grade quarter horse, meaning he is another mutt. Skywalker was born back in 2005, making him 19 years old. A big thing Skywalker is known for is his love for children. He is very calm, very gentle with them. It is absolutely adorable to see and really reflects on the type of animal that Skywalker is. Skywalker was a horse that was purchased back when we had riding lessons and was ours, but was then sold once the riding lesson program ceased to exist. His new owner then purchased him and decided to keep him at the stable. So even though owners have changed, Skywalker is still in our lives. Next up is one of the Percherons at our stable, Weather. His barn name is Weather. His full name is Weathering the Storm. Weather is the smallest of the three big horses at the stable, but don't let that fool you. He is still absolutely huge. He is a Percheron, and he joins the list of horses born back in 2007, making him 17 years old. Some things Weather is known for is being a little bit on the mischievous side, and also having the slightest amount of a temper. He is super kind and nice to people, but doesn't like his hooves being picked up. And when it comes to horses, he's happy to push them around and tell them where he needs to go. And since we're talking about big horses, we've got the biggest horse in the stable, Samson. He is a Belgian, and he was born back in 2009, making Samson 15 years old. Samson is a very loving horse and the definition of a gentle giant. Some of the main things Samson is known for is his eyes. He has a similar issue to that of Champ. He is actively being treated. As you guys are aware, He's had an issue in his left eye that was resolved, and the issue has now come up in his right eye and is actively being treated. We love Samson, and I know a lot of you do as well. Next on the list is Spitfire. Spitfire is an appendix quarter horse, meaning that he is a quarter horse and a thoroughbred mixed together, meaning that Spitfire back in his heyday was extremely fast. Spitfire was born in 1999, making him 25 years old. He is known for his love with the mares. He also loves women in general. He respects men but prefers women, and rightfully so, as he is Megan, my wife's horse. Back in the day, Spitfire could do cloverleaf barrels in record times and loved doing gymkhana events. Now though, Spitfire is retired and mostly enjoys leisurely trail rides. And lastly, our 25th horse to look at is Casino. Originally brought here from California under a different owner. Casino was then sold and my father purchased him. He is now my dad's horse and lives here in Pennsylvania at Sunny Knoll Stables. Casino is an absolutely beautiful horse. He is a paint grade quarter horse. Casino was born back in 2010, making him 14 years old. And similar to George, as you guys can see, he's got one beautiful blue eye. Casino is a very loving horse and is most known for being a bit on the chubbier side and a gentle animal. Casino is also a bit on the smaller side, but don't let that fool you. He is still a horse. He is very timid, doesn't really cause too many problems in the herd at all, is content being at the bottom of the herd, meaning he rarely has any nicks or bites or bruises on his body because of that. Whew, man, 25 horses. That is a lot to go through, but we're not done just yet. We still have 2 more animals that we gotta go take a look at.
And that's Buster and Rocky.
Now, just about all of you know these 2 little beauties. We've got Buster and Rocky. Now, these 2 miniature donkeys got here right when the YouTube channel had just started. Buster and Rocky were born back in 2021, making them 3 years old. Miniature donkeys live on average 25 years, even higher. So they're going to be here for a long time. They are healthy and doing well, and you might be asking the biggest question of all, why do you have miniature donkeys? Why not? No. Simple reason is we were actually contemplating breeding miniature donkeys. To test the market, we acquired 2 miniature donkeys. Both of them were studs. And yes, I recognize you can't breed 2 studs. But we got 2 because you can't have one, as they are herd animals and need to be with another. And of course, that also meant that we wanted to see if we were able to sell them and if there was a good market for them. And then the stable got full. All of the stalls started filling up with horses, and we no longer had the ability or time to be able to breed these miniature donkeys. Buster's just pushing me all over the place here. So that meant that we needed to make the choice of, do we sell Buster and Rocky or do we get them fixed, because we could not breed them. So they are no longer studs. They are good old-fashioned regular geldings, aren't you boys? And a neat little fact for you, Buster is known as a micro mini and Rocky is known as a miniature donkey. And Buster is just a little stinker, aren't you, Buster? Aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you, little Buster? Huh? Aren't you? Aren't you, little Buster? Huh? Aren't you just a little Buster? Aren't you just a little Buster? Oh my goodness, you're just so cute. Oh man, we got a lot of animals here at the stable. I hope you guys enjoyed getting a cool look at all of the animals here, their ages and their breeds. I'm sure you guys probably also wanted to know their weight and of course their height. Maybe that'll be some more information I can procure. And in the next getting to know all of the animals in our stable video, I'll be able to bring up that information. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you haven't, don't forget to hit that like button and make sure that you're subscribed. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.